Our world is never going to be the same again. People that can afford a mortgage, want to buy a home, can't go to the bank. It's about 80% of the population walking down the street right now, which is staggering. And it's only going to get higher. The biggest money to be made is in downturns and when everyone else is sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. So the people that take action during times like this are people that are out there right now making moves.
I had the opportunity to actually have a video conference with Michael after a couple of weeks of really getting beaten up by the virus. Michael, it's great to see you looking a lot better, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And at the time, I was running anywhere from 101 to 103 temp. Very, very weak. Lots of headaches. I mean, all the symptoms that you see online, the respiratory issues. Went in, obviously got tested, came back positive. I think I actually kind of got off easy. I mean, it's been a month-long process at this point. I got out of quarantine, feeling better. Appetite's still not totally back yet. Appreciate you having me on the channel. This is probably not going to be my absolute top-notch efforts, but
That's
I mean, the
okay. I
last
mean, I think we'll both kind of be in that boat because oddly enough, I've come down with some symptoms myself recently that are a little concerning. And so we'll see what that amounts to, but I'm excited to talk because one of the ongoing solutions that we've presented here on this channel for the last couple of years that has maintained my enthusiasm is the Little Pink Houses of America business model. And so I want to start with a refresher on exactly what that is. And then we'll obviously dive into today's topic, which is, look, I'm forecasting a lot of blood in the streets here as time goes on. I don't personally look at the stimulus packages as all that promising over the long run. And so I see, again, a channel for which people can actually still make tremendous amounts of money. I do want to at least disclose the fact that I've had a conversation with 3 existing Little Pink Houses affiliates that are crushing it right now. And part of the reason I wanted to bring you back on is you made me a promise back when we did a previous series of interviews about Little Pink Houses and said that this business model thrives in an economic downturn. Is this something that actually can work right now? And so I'm really excited because I think that this is a very promising possible solution for people that are either underemployed or unemployed, or people that are still employed, maybe even our frontliners that are busting their asses right now and are second guessing what they do professionally. This could end up being an amazing alternative, right? So why don't you just kind of give us the elevator pitch on exactly what Little Pink is. Remind us, please.
Yeah, so we're a real estate investment firm based out of Jacksonville, Florida. At this point, we're just shy of about 100 markets nationally, internationally, and we have a very specific focus. And right now, it's so prevalent. Banking restrictions are starting to tighten up. I don't care what news you read, who you follow, it's happening again so that there's not a repeat of the '08 crisis. They're liquid now. They're capitalized right now. They're not out there doing subprime. I mean, these people are holding onto their money pretty tight. So banking restrictions are really starting to tighten up. What we do is we cater to the buyer that can't go to the bank right now. And everyone that's watching the channel right now knows people that can afford a mortgage payment. They can afford a down payment, which is a requirement for every deal we do. Minimum of $10,000. Our average deal nationally is closer to about $15,000, but it allows them to buy a home on terms. So our kind of coined phrase, if you will, is an executive lease purchase. So it's an agreement to buy the home up front from day one. Typical terms fall within about 6 to 12 months on the long end. But during that process, while the seller is waiting to get their equity out, they're receiving monthly payments throughout the term that don't credit towards reducing the balance owed. They're in a premium position to get full price offer for their home. Now, it can't be pie in the sky. They can't, because obviously at some point there's going to be an appraisal, but up front, the bank is not required. So the seller benefits because in the long term, they're making anywhere between 10 to 20% more on the sale of their home versus going to through the traditional routes. And if you take an average $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 house, depending on where people are watching from, 10 to 20%, that adds up really, really quickly.
It does.
So if they don't need their cash out today and they can wait, call it 12 months to make an extra $50,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000, depending on their price point, it's very appealing to them. The buyers love it because right now their alternative is to rent, right? And rent's a 4-letter word. No one wants to do that if they don't have to. So we give them the ability, providing they've got the credentials to afford the monthly payment because we want them to know that this is what your mortgage payment's going to be in that 6 to 12 month window when you do get permanent financing. I'll get into that here in a second. They've got the down payment requirement, which is the glue, if you will, that really locks them into the home. It's non-refundable. This is not the lease option where it's a test drive and they can walk away at the end of 6 or 12 months if they don't want the home. These people are deep. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 or more down depending on price point. Now they get full credit for that off the sale price. So they're not just paying some sort of deposit or option deposit on that. They are equitable from that when they get their permanent financing. We walk them through and have a mortgage readiness, mortgage preparedness program that is helping them do anything that currently is preventing them from being able to go to their bank right now. If it's a credit issue, we've got credit repair. If it's DTI or debt to income ratio, we obviously help them out with that. A lot of our buyers at our price points are self-employed. If you're self-employed, you want to do two things. You want to make as much money as possible, and you want to write off everything you can, right? Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So that's a huge demographic of buyer for us. So what we do is we glue those people together. We have an outbound call center where we're calling these typically for sale by owners or expired listings around the country. In the markets where we've got partnerships or affiliate franchisees, we're then doing marketing to the buyers and the demographic of buyers that I just talked about, people that can afford a mortgage, want to buy a home, can't go to the bank. It's about 80% of the population walking down the street right now, which is staggering. And it's only going to get higher. So what we do is we get paid for effectively providing that bridge to the permanent financing for the buyer. And at the same time, we're helping our sellers make more money. And of course, we're a for-profit business, so we make profit along the way as well. So
the easiest way for me to process this initially, because I'm a slow learner at times, I compared it most closely to sort of a high-end wholesaling, almost a more advanced style of subject too. Is that an accurate comparison for me to be making as I sort of look at this? I mean, it's not identical to what I've seen in the past or what's typical in either one of those two industries, but it seems almost like it's the next level of both of them.
I would probably compare it more so to a high-end wholesale because there's no money out of pocket. You're not necessarily dealing, well, you can deal with distressed properties. That's not really our target demographic. The biggest difference between that wholesale and that sub two is that there's title transferred. Subject to is, keeping the underlying mortgage in place, but title is being transferred. So there are fees associated with that if you're an investor trying to do those deals. So you've got title transfer, you've got carrying costs, you're a landlord, and hopefully you find that end using buyer. The best part about our system is that it's closer to that wholesale model because we're not coming out of pocket. We're not making any empty promises. We're not saying, hey, we're buying your house. All we're saying is, hey, you've got a great home. Whether you have been trying to sell it or you've been on the market for one day, we can show you how to make 10 to 20% more, even if you just wait 12 months to get cashed out. This is what we're going to do. So a huge part or a huge component of our model and our just corporation in general is that marketing aspect to those people that can't walk into the bank right now. So a wholesale deal, you're typically marketing to a flipper, right? Some guy that wants to come in or some gal that wants to come in, and you might make $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 on the deal. They're not going to be the end using or owner occ either. They're going to do the rehab. They're going to make the long dollar, and they're going to find that end using buyer. So ours, there's some definite similarities to it, but there's some very, very big distinctions also. So I don't know if I covered.
Most of what I've seen these are positive distinctions too. Now, I would say that the most obvious barrier to entry is the cost involved with Little Pink. And it's not inexpensive, guys. We like to be very upfront that the cost behind an affiliate membership with Pink costs tens of thousands of dollars. This is a business. It's a business in a box, so to speak. And not unlike any other business, you're going to spend a lot of money to run a business. That's why it's so important to have access to liquidity and to have great credit, because you can get financing options in order to get rolling with this type of a process. I'm going to actually introduce this kid. I call him a kid, but he's 23 years old. And with no prior real estate experience, firsthand experience where he's made any money, and now he's on his way to making his first $100,000 this year alone. He's just around the bend from that. But that interview was really encouraging because it just goes to show you that with some hustle, with the ambition, with more phone calls being required now than perhaps before the crisis hit, there is still plenty of opportunity right now and ways of becoming your own boss, and living life on your own terms. And he's now making more money than his parents, who actually are in real estate, and we're fairly skeptical with him coming in. But that's the kind of stuff I've been hearing from people on this so far. Is it works if you do it. Now, for me, I spend what it costs to get involved with Little Pink Houses every month to run my businesses. So I think it's a shift in mindset. If you are coming out of a W-2 profession, or you haven't had success in the past with running a business, to spend tens of thousands of dollars in business can be really, really difficult psychologically. But yet, guys, show me one successful business that's trying to avoid spending money. That's not part of a business model. The goal is to spend as much as possible, because we're only spending on things where we expect large returns on that money spent. So we just have to make sure that we're seeing paradigm shifts in our head first as we go through this crisis, because listen, a lot of us are going to have to do a lot of things differently than we've ever done before. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely do. And I'm as optimistic as they come about pretty much all walks of life. Our world is never going to be the same again. I mean, just unequivocally will never be the same again. So we might get back to some sort of normal. I think the biggest thing, just from a business standpoint, you hit a couple really good points there, was that, people that are out of a job right now, people that are struggling to keep their job, or they're afraid they're going to lose their job, or they've had a drop in wages. You don't control your own destiny. None of those people do. You're beholden to some corporation or some business owner, and everyone's going through struggles, and you can get your neck chopped at any given moment. The best part about what we offer, and what any business is, whether you're doing this or you're buying a Subway or whatever the case may be, is you do have the opportunity to control your own destiny. So people that are right now, and there's a lot of people out there that are just terrified about what's going on, but money, the biggest and best money to be made, is in downturns, and when everyone else is sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens and just fretting. So the people that take action during times like this, and I'm preaching to the choir with you, are people that are out there right now making moves. They're not laying on the couch watching the news, 16 hours a day to see the next coronavirus update.
100%, man. I mean, Buffett again, right? One of the most famously quoted wealthiest humans to ever live has said over and over again that, the time to be the most scared is when everybody's confident, which frankly was in January. And the time to be the most confident is when everybody else is scared. And it goes against everything in your mind. Do you remember when you first learned how to ride a bike? I remember the one piece of advice that I kept getting was turn into the fall. Just turn into the fall. And my mind wouldn't work that way.
That's so counterintuitive.
It was completely different than what my brain was trying to do. And I think a lot of that is just, right now we're gonna all need to learn how to ride the next bicycle. And so I think that's a really terrific point you brought up. I think that was a really great initial kind of reminder of what you guys are all about. I'll go ahead and include a full playlist in the description below for all of you guys. But I'd love to hear thumbs up from you, or see one at least, that demonstrates that you guys want us to continue to put out videos where we bring you solutions like Little Pink Houses, where it's a tangible, actionable, revenue generating way for you to survive this crisis right now. And as I mentioned in my last video, even come out on the other side of it looking back and saying, for me and for my family, that was the best thing that could have happened. Now, I hate saying that on the backs of so many tragedies that are happening right now. And we can all acknowledge that, okay? It's rough. And frankly, I was worried about Michael. I was worried for myself 2 days ago. But we can't allow all of that tragedy to stop us each from protecting our own individual households. And that's the only way I can see as a nation that we can come out of this as well as possible. Okay, it's already going to be ugly. It's already ugly. Okay, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be a lot uglier for a lot of people. But it doesn't have to be uglier for you guys. So again, please let us know, show us some love with a like. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and it certainly lets us know that you guys appreciate the resources here, and we don't have to sit here and just continually dwell on how negative everything is right now in the media, okay? I've got a ton more content planned for you guys. I'm gonna bring Austin in. I've got 2 more people that I've already had conversations with that's extremely encouraging. These were some of my greatest fears. My only remaining question for you, Michael, and from a protection standpoint for my audience, which is my #1 priority here, what is the worst case if we do hit an absolute rock bottom? when it comes to real estate? What's the worst for little pink houses? How do they ensure their own personal ongoing success no matter what else happens, if in fact they do participate with you guys?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and we always preach this internally here, is that we've got the ability to pivot very quickly. So when the pandemic came on, our ability to pivot into almost everything we do right now nationally, and we're doing contracts, we're doing deals every single day, is do things virtually. Right. So that was our first pivot. If it hits absolute rock bottom, then subject twos are going to be more prevalent. Our platform is going to be even more prevalent as the market continues to dip, if it does. And I'm not seeing that rock bottom. You and I have points and counterpoints with that. And I love the debate that we have with that. If and when it does hit rock bottom, we're even better off. We've got the ability to go out there and buy for cash. We've got the ability to do subject twos. We can have the ability to obviously continue on our main platform, the executive lease purchase, which if you're a seller that's out there, people are always going to have to sell. People are always going to want to buy. If you're a seller that's out there and you've lost, let's call it $100,000 in equity on your home, what do you think you're looking for right now? You're looking for alternatives to make back some of that money. And if on that same sale of the home, we can show you how to recoup, if not outgain some of those losses, people are going to be all ears. And I've said this on videos before, we're not sitting around with our fingers crossed, hoping for doomsday. But our model is specifically primed for instances just like this. We knew the market correction was happening. We've talked, or was going to happen. We've talked on previous videos about that. On average, it happens about every 10 years. We didn't foresee coronavirus being something that was going to contribute to that. None of us could. But we are perched, primed, and ready right now to capitalize on that. So if people are watching from home and they've lost their job, or they're nervous about it, or they want something different, they don't want to be beholden, they want a team, a brand, a business model behind them that can ebb and flow and pivot with any situation, highs, middles, or lows right now, then let's talk. If we're a good fit, great. If we're not, that's okay too. But we're a great vehicle for people that are sitting on the sidelines right now trying to decide what they want to do with their lives. I personally am not going to have my life dictated by a pandemic. And I'm living proof because I have gone through it already. But that's not going to deter me. I'm going to go out there every day and I'm going to kick butt. And a month off or whatever that was is certainly not going to change that in my world. I know it's not going to change it for you, but people just have to take action right now. Money is to be made right now.
I would argue you didn't take a month off. I was getting phone calls from you every day.
Well, I mean, I'm a workaholic just like you.
So what I want to do on an upcoming video is dive more deeply into some of these topics. I've heard you call something the pink unicorn before, which dives a little more deeply into the subject to aspect you were just touching on there. So on an upcoming video, we'll dive more deeply into that. Obviously, again, showcase other success stories that are going on with Pink. But I have to tell you guys, we have been hosting Pink as a sponsor on this channel now for, I'm afraid to say, because I don't even really remember specifically, but it's about a year and a half. I want to say, right? And Michael and I have been friends for many years before we invited him on, and there were a lot of optimistic promises that were made. Outside of 2 less than perfect pieces of feedback that I've received, both of which were absolutely singing the praises of Pink and their business model in spite of having less than ideal outcomes overall, where maybe their expectations didn't necessarily get exceeded in terms of their results. It's been unanimously perfect, okay? This is highly unusual with the amount of volume that we've seen. And Michael can attest to the number of interested folks that have seen these videos and have reached out for additional information, which is really your first step, guys. You just have to find it in your schedule to get a consultation and gather more information to start determining if this is for you and if you're going to actually put in the work. There's not one video that we've made together where either one of us has said that you get anything out of this other than what you put into it. You are going to work. And every single person that I visited with who has shared their feedback and circumstances and their own personal results, they all say the same thing, that it takes work to do this, as did your last job or as does your current job. The question becomes, are you getting out of those what you deserve? And what I like about Pink is, like you said, you can really own your destiny. And so for whatever that's worth for you guys, The decision ultimately ends up being yours. Do your own homework. I'm not here to talk you into working hard, that's for sure. You have to want it more for yourself than I can want it for you. And if I'm wanting it more for you, I promise you that it is not a good fit. It will not be a good fit. Do not reach out. And please don't waste anybody's time. If you're going to send an email, send it to pink@vipfinancialeducation.com, and only send it if you're actually serious. If you get your questions answered and you get the answers that you want, that you're ready to start doing something bigger and better for your life. Aside from that, guys, do send your name first and last, as well as contact information, meaning direct preferred phone number. If you do not include your direct preferred phone number, there is no way for Michael and his team to reach out. We will be happy to make a warm introduction. Anybody that comes in from this VIP Financial Ed YouTube channel gets preferential treatment. I know that that sounds like favoritism, and guess what? It's what I expect and demand out of these guys. It's just the way our relationship works. So Michael may not say that to you or agree with it, but I'm promising you that you'll get preferential treatment when you come in from this channel. And guys, I love you all very much. I want this to work out if it's a fit. So subscribe, drop a like, and Michael, we'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for the info.
Look forward to it, brother. Take care.
All right, bye guys.